So I'm going to jump on in a second with Andreas. He is from a startup called Another Block. And so they are doing NFT, blockchain-backed royalty distributions. And so their goal is to democratize the artist royalties in the music industry. So we're really excited to chat to him soon. And so I believe they're based in Stockholm. And so for him, it's going to be 9:30 in the morning. For us, it is 7:30 in the evening on a Friday night. You were saying that this is not the first time that anyone's come up with this kind of concept of democratizing or spreading royalty rights amongst multiple people.
So here's a fun fact.
What's your fun fact?
24 years ago, this has been done before.
Okay.
Someone has tried to democratize music ownership as well.
Tell me more.
So this is when David Bowie was selling Bowie bonds, which is quite a funny
oh man,
quite a funny name. I know. And I've lost all the articles on it. I don't know where it's gone, but
right, what a mess.
I know, it's a mess. we're scraggling here. I'm not even connected to my own internet.
Mateo, one of our lights fell over and it just smashed.
This is what happens without our production assistant.
Honestly,
it's the singer's financial innovation. So what happened here was David Bowie was selling his musical, his whole catalog of music for the last and future royalties for the next 10 years with the bond. So basically, all of the royalties generated from his catalog of music for the next 10 years. And so that includes 25 albums from 1969 to 1990. And he was a pretty big artist back in the day, and I think he still is. Bowie. He's still quite a big artist because he's still making a lot
in
of
certain demographics.
I mean, yeah. But you have to consider, if
I'll consider it.
If 100 million people like Billie Eilish, there's still 100 million people that like David Bowie.
Yes.
So it's just a less prominent at the moment, I guess.
Correct.
And so he actually ended up selling the securities to Prudential Financial for $55 million or 38 million pounds.
Oh, so sold it to like an institutional investor.
Yeah. So basically, he sold it as an asset-backed security to an institutional investor. And then they gave creditors a future income guarantee of 7.9%, which is pretty huge. So they must have been making a lot of... Basically, what happens in these situations is the financial institution will create the asset-backed security, and they'll pay out Bowie a large sum. They'll pay the lump sum, and then they'll receive investors who buy pieces of the bond, and it pays out a coupon. So basically...
Interesting.
So basically what happens is, they all receive just a slice of that future royalty from David Bowie. So
wow,
it's a very interesting concept.
So obviously you work for Another Block, and so what's your position there? So you're the growth and community manager, is that right? And so what does that look like for you on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so on a day-to-day basis, I'm in charge of all the social media accounts, and of course, together with a few other people. And we also have a really cool design agency that we work with. So they are helping us out doing, the pitch decks and everything like that. But also, designing the stuff that needs to be put out in the channels.
Gotcha. And then you're also, I assume you're trying to facilitate these kinds of interviews. Have you done many of this interviews yet for this project, or not yet?
I've done 2 this far, but we published one, and I started at the company exactly 1 month ago. So
wow, well done.
So exactly. So I'm doing different kind of stuff, and it's like we're going. Our go-to-market strategy also involves a lot of influencer marketing. So I'm like dipping my toes in it in different ways, and I really love TikTok. That's why I saw your channel there and approached you.
Amazing. I mean, thank you so much for reaching out. We're actually super pumped to chat to you. So first question is, so we were having a look at the people who've invested in the project and stuff like that. And so there's a guy named Sebastian who's is one of the co-founders of this company called King Digital, who are the creators of Candy Crush, which is like kind of cool. That's a cool affiliation, right? It's like another block affiliated with Candy Crush. Like that's a cool vibe.
Yeah. So we're really excited because he's also actually pretty involved in the project. So he's like, coming over, having lunch, and being advisor on the product strategy, which is invaluable. You can just imagine yourself.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And before we go any further, could you describe another block? Could you talk about what it actually is and what you guys are trying to do? What's your mission?
Yeah, so we're basically trying to bring music to the blockchain, and that might sound a bit buzzwordy, I guess, but what we're trying to achieve is something that I see kind of, I really lack that in the crypto space in general, trying to bridge the real world and the real world assets, intellectual property, for example, which music is, to blockchain assets, NFTs, for example. So I think it's it's necessary to bring the markets forward, to intertwine those, because that's how you create real value, I would say. There's like 15,000 coins out there, so let's do something a bit different. Not that I'm hating on the coins, I'm a super crypto nerd as well, but a lot of the projects, they're pump and dumps, right? We're not a pump. We're not coming here, taking the money, and then like disappearing. Everything is really transparent,
So cool.
Yeah, and so speaking of blockchains and the 15,000 tokens, all that kind of thing.
Yes, that's so many tokens.
That is a lot of tokens. It's a lot to get people's head around, and some of these random projects are going up, and then and obviously rug pulls and. Pump and dumps, we've heard it all.
It's true.
What is another block built on, and like, does it have its own native token, or is it built on Ethereum? What platform is it based on?
Yeah, so we're starting out with Ethereum and Polygon, but actually Polygon showed a lot of promise, but right now we're rethinking the entire blockchain thing, because it's like Polygon has had some disruptions, as you may have noticed. And for example, Coinbase blocked withdrawals for Polygon, and they had some plug-in on the blockchain basically. So, but I think that we will probably start with it, but we will also add different options, probably some layer 2 solution. And when it comes to token, actually we had a really long discussion about it yesterday. And even though I'm the biggest crypto nerd, I'm also the realist. So I want to make sure that the foundation is very strong, and that we want to remain an investable company, and we're doing like an A round pretty soon, which means that if we're starting and then we'll have our own token and we'll do this and that, and it's like, I know what will happen. It will be it will take up the entire team to even get that pumping, because if it's like, oh no, the value is going down, oh, what about the project, and then everybody will be so stressed out about it. So it's like, we're definitely looking into becoming a DAO and token, creating a token, but it's like, let's start out with a company and make that run smoothly, and then maybe pivot to it, or go towards that direction. So it's of course in the back of our heads, and we see it in the future, but not right now, if you understand.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So you're going to adopt potentially a token that's already in existence for transacting on your platform, which that's, as you're saying, that's a good idea. Keeping the intentions the main thing, and not getting too distracted with everything that can be done and getting nothing done. And so that's really cool. So bringing it back to, I guess, the ecosystem, which is music streaming first. So Isaac's got a few interesting statistics about Spotify streams. So, but before we ask that question, in regards to, obviously Spotify is the main streaming service that a lot of people are aware of. Apple Music is obviously popular as well. Are you planning to be functioning with all of these platforms, or do you have a plan initially just to function with Spotify? What's the plan there in regards to platform streaming?
Yeah, exactly. Definitely, we were looking into the biggest ones. I think that we will cover around 90 to 95% of the market, like YouTube, Spotify, and I think also there is the Russian one. What's it called again?
YouTube.
Yeah, no, Yandex. Have you heard about it?
No.
When I was in Moscow, I always took, the Yandex taxis. You could have like a really posh Uber, well, called Yandex then. And then I went. It was so awesome. Seriously, it's like so cheap as well. If you go into, what are they called? The Mercedes-Benz limos, basically.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So you said YouTube there, right? YouTube is also an option?
Yeah.
Did you say YouTube?
Of course.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's great. Okay, so speaking of Spotify and YouTube and all that, how does I'm going to go a little bit more into the mechanics of how the product actually works. Is there some kind of oracle which is kind of an API for the blockchain? Is there some kind of an API which plugs into the back end of someone's Spotify account, someone's YouTube account, and is able to collect those payments and does another block act as sort of an intermediary which collects those payments and then pays them out to people's... And it's a little bit of a two-part wallet. How is that paid out to the holders of the NFTs? So if you could speak to that would be...
Yeah, sure. I can elaborate on that, and I really like the way you think. I mean, you're thinking how we are going to do it, like in the future. Because the thing that thing with the Oracle, that's just brilliant. We want to. I mean, in the long term, we want to make it super smooth, so that everything is completely automated. And basically invent something so brilliant that we as a company would become, like the token would be the central thing, and that's where you can pivot into a DAO, if you know what I mean. Because right now we will need the company as an intermediary for these transactions, simply because when doing deals with the record labels, they would think people were absolutely nuts if somebody even would suggest, like, okay, so here's like 300 people owning Steve Angelo's song. Can you pay out, like in crypto or whatever? And they would like, are you kidding me? Like never. They wouldn't even lift a finger, because it's highly centralized, really. So the music industry is like, it's those key players that you've all heard about. It's like Sony, is like Universal Music and so on and so on. And these people have like absolute power. So what we're trying to do is to distribute that power to like the general public. So we act as an intermediary, like almost like a record label, if you will, because we buy the actual rights and then we distribute it to the people buying the token, basically.
No way. Oh, wow. Okay, that's an awesome clarification. Okay, so you guys do all the paperwork, essentially. So you guys would meet, for example, with a label or an artist if they're independent, and you would maybe negotiate, say, 20%. Now, the question here is it 20% of their royalties for the full future, or is it per song, or is it per project? How do you see that playing out?
It's in perpetuity, which means like, and it's also it's necessary also to clarify that what we're working on here is music streaming rights.
Yes.
So I mean, theoretically, we could of course do deals with the other rights as well, but that gets a lot more complicated. So we're starting out with the streaming rights because that is more tangible. So basically, it will be paid out on a regular basis, depending on when the artists get their payment. So it might differ, from platform to platform, or we'll just send it like, basically when we receive it, we send it. And the thing is, we're trying to work on something because gamification, we're really fond of that. So we want to do something. I mean, this is not necessarily going to happen, but what we're trying to achieve is that we want it to be able to see like in real time and receive payments really often, like maybe once a week or something. So you can see like in real time, okay, so now it's counting up, you can see in real time how the streaming revenue is counting up based on the streams. That would be really awesome, right? So you can see like, oh, nice, getting that money.
That's so cool. Okay, so question. So did you say Polygon was the network that you were thinking of using initially?
Yeah, we are currently building on both Polygon and Ethereum. So for the more expensive ones, Ethereum because of the gas fees, but and the cheaper ones, Polygon right now.
Okay. So if I made an assumption that I'm on there and I'm buying a big album and I buy it with Matic, which is like the native token for Polygon, is my expectation that my distributions or my royalty payments are also going to be in that token? Like, is that the ideal? Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Interesting. And so then, for example, if I also bought one with Ethereum on the Ethereum blockchain or with Ether, my expectation is that I would get paid in Ether.
Yeah, exactly. And then I guess that also the payments would be a bit less frequent, because of the gas fees. So that's also why we want to use Polygon, because it's a lot smoother for both parts. And I mean, we're of course also looking at different alternatives. I mean, I'm personally a big fan of Polkadot and what Polkadot is building, and the cross-chain interoperability. We're kind of looking at Cosmos right now, so maybe you've heard of it.
Cosmos, I haven't. Yeah, right. Interesting. Wild. That's so cool. I have another question. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, go for
Sorry. Okay, so let's say, for example, I go on there and I buy a big artist. I use Ether and I buy into the artist. Now, you said it was based on the artist, not based on a specific song. Is that right? So I could buy into...
Well, it's like, I mean, what do you mean by that?
So let's say, for example, Steve Angelo, as you suggested, he puts out an album. Like I think Swedish House Mafia have announced that they're going to release a new album called Paradise Again, I think it's called, or something. And and so could I just buy an NFT that only relates to that particular project, and then when he comes out with the next album, I don't get royalties from that next album, or am I buying into him as an artist?
Yeah, exactly. It's in the actual releases. So I mean, because otherwise it's kind of hard to sell the future of an artist. So you can't really invest in an artist, and I guess that's nothing you can do in the traditional world either. So it's in certain drops, certain releases and songs. So yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
That's great. Yeah. And so speaking of those rights, how is it actually possible to fractionalize the rights of the artist? Like, does another block just hold the rights? It's like they're almost taking those rights and holding them in a vault and then just paying out to all the NFT holders? Or are the NFT holders legally getting the rights to a song?
That is actually one of the best questions that everybody needs to ask, because the thing is, it's kind of undefined by the simple fact that, I mean, we will have a contract for the ownership of the song on the blockchain, which means that even if we as a company would not exist, it will still be in the IFPS, or what's it called again? No, Interplanetary File System. Yeah, the one that holds all the NFTs basically. And the thing is, the contract will be there, but I mean, it's technically they own the actual piece of the right, but I mean, it's up to the court to actually prove whether this is considered a legal, a way of owning the rights, which is kind of cool when you think about it, because the thing is, if the first time this is actually tried out, if the court says, yeah, he's an actual owner of the song, we say this is okay, we approve this. That means that we have actually opened up for intellectual property being owned on the blockchain. So, I mean, that is completely revolutionary. And that's why I joined this company to begin with, because I like bold and new, daring, creative ideas to make blockchains and cryptocurrencies become relevant in the long term. Because I'm not that fond of, ape pictures here and there. Maybe somebody will hate me for it, but it's I want something more than that. That's what I mean.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. They have that problem with NFTs because they're like, oh, what's what the monkey picture is great, but what's it going to do for me? So speaking of that, so if we can put it into more real terms for people that are more familiar with stocks and shares, basically another block is acting as the trustee for your purchases, and so if your stockbroker goes out of business, it doesn't mean that you've lost your shares. You legally still own your shares. And you can take it to court and you can fight that, and you'll still hold your shares even if that stockbroker goes out of business and takes all your papers with you. So basically, so another block is acting as trustee for the NFT holder, and if another block goes down, it means that you'll still hold a piece of that future revenue from that song, which is super interesting.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, that's really good.
Okay, I have a question. So initially we're doing royalties. Is there a future where another block is also doing, buy part of this NFT collection and you can have dinner with, Justin Bieber, or, do you know what I mean? Like collections that get other things other than royalty dividends. Is that the future as well, or are you sticking to royalties?
Yeah, definitely. We actually had a discussion about it yesterday, and there's like a lot of different alternatives. Of course, we will provide like the general stuff that almost everybody does with NFT. Like if you hold it, you'll get access to a certain Discord channel and so on. But we're trying also to do like, for example, if you hold it, you will get a discount on the upcoming festivals that they will play. That's and awesome. Stuff like that. So we're constantly thinking of new ways to add value and. It's like I'm not sure exactly what perks we will provide on the first drop, but we're constantly like looking at, okay, so how can we do this more attractive? Because of course that will benefit both the artists and both us. So and of course the holder. So that, if that makes sense.
That makes great, a lot of sense.
In terms of problems that Another Block is trying to solve, is one of those problems the generating actual income for the artist? Because we have a couple of stats here. So. On average, there are 60,000 new songs being uploaded to Spotify every single day.
Wow, so many.
But the number of creators who generated royalties over $50,000 in 2020 was only 13,400.
Wow.
So there's about 3 million creators on Spotify. So a lot of those creators, like whether they're doing a podcast or they're doing songs or anything like that, a lot of those creators aren't actually making over $50,000. Is part of the problem that creators can't make enough money on Spotify, or is it something else? Is your key purpose? Yeah, what's Another Block trying to solve?
Yeah, these are actually great questions, and I would say that we're part of the solution for that problem, because it's like I personally believe that in the future people will need, like, how to say, people's attention span is so extremely small nowadays, with TikTok and everything like that. It feels like either you will never be discovered as an artist, or you will blow up and be played all over TikTok for some kind of random skit or random song. So it's like it's a lot of entropy mixed in this, so everything is really chaotic, and somewhere somebody pops up and then blows up completely, and I think that's so interesting to see, because what artists, in my opinion, really need to differentiate themselves is something that is actually future-proofed or whatever. So I see this as part of the solution. And I mean, of course, people could theoretically mint their own NFTs and put up on OpenSea. But the problem with that is that, as you've seen, there's so much inflation there. I mean, there's so much stuff in general, which means that, okay, so they will just be drowned. There's really no purpose if you're not really good at marketing, having your own Discord and so on and so on. But it's like we try to help them mint their token and actually get pretty good publicity, because I mean, we're posted already in Billboard, EDM.com, and it's like we're only getting started here. So it's some pretty not long time, but I mean it's a couple of months until we actually open up the platform. So we're working on it.
Interesting. So if I'm a collector and I want to buy an NFT and I jump on, obviously the NFT is going to be priced at a particular price, whatever it is, and there's going to be a certain number of NFTs which will dictate to a certain extent the price. I guess the interesting thing in my head is like, well, when Another Block is facilitating this agreement or this deal with the label or the independent artist for a percentage of their royalties, are they going out and saying, let's say, for example, to this particular label, we will pay you this much upfront for X percentage of your royalties, and then I guess it's Another Block's job to then come decide how many NFTs are in the collection and split the cost accordingly to pay for that. Is that the progress of events there, or?
Yeah, you're bright, guys. You're decoding like what we're doing. I mean, it's still very cryptic. If you go onto the site, it's like sign up.
It was tricky.
That's it.
We're just making assumptions.
Yeah, but it's good assumption. That's exactly how we operate. So I mean, basically, we and that's why also it's good to actually be a company, because If it's like, if we were to approach Universal with our DAO and like, we have this bag of cryptocurrency, can we buy a percentage of this? And it's like, they would be very nuts. Like, no, it's like, we have to do it like in their way to be able to even do it. And then when we do it and we succeed with it, then of course we can try, like maybe they'll eventually become more crypto positive as well over time. It's still pretty early, right?
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. And so when you're taking on a new artist, do you have a specific, say like a cut and dry specific method that you're planning to use when generating the NFTs? So when you're generating an NFT collection for a specific song, will you only do a collection of 10,000 NFTs, which is basically 10,000 shares in that song? Or will you have 100 NFTs for a small-time artist and 10,000 for a massive DJ? And is there a specific price point as well? Which so basically number of shares, and the price of the shares.
Oh yeah.
Actually, we discussed that yesterday as well. And the thing is, I mean, we're still discussing that. It's under discussion, so it's not set. But what we discussed yesterday is that we'll both release cheaper ones, and I guess the cheap ones will be around, maybe $50. I think is a good price point. Okay. And then the more expensive ones will be around, maybe between $5,000 to $15,000 or something. And then of course auctions on the very rare ones. But we want it to be like actually obtainable. So better to have like maybe a smaller fraction of the music streaming rights than like setting the price point for several million, because it's like it's like, okay, cool, some crypto millionaire bought some.
You haven't really democratized it that much if it's like $1 million to get one. That's right.
It doesn't make sense in the beginning, so it's better to have like huge drops and then smaller fractions. So that's how we reason around it. But I mean, it's like we'll see, but we want the entry point to be achievable for a lot of people. Yeah.
So in terms of $50 NFT, a $5,000 NFT, what are the expected yields on that for a yearly return for someone's streams? So if it's a really big artist and they're making $50 million a month, and you happen to buy in for $5,000, and you happen to buy a lot of their shares, and you end up making $1 million a month, that'd be obviously a pretty good yield. What are you kind of expecting for people to return out of this?
Yeah, so our goal here is to have return of investment before 10 years. So it's like, I mean, of course it will differ, but I think 10 years is pretty fair, because it's like you can't expect a song to be generating revenue for like 50 years. So it's like we've seen some other projects which have made a lot of money, but they are doing this spectacular kind of valuations, and it's like, okay, so I mean, if you actually count on it, it's like, okay, so I will maybe recoup my investment in like 30 years, and I'm like, that's not really attractive to me. I mean, then it's more of a gimmick, I would say, right? Then it's more of something to make it sell. We want to make it actually possible to do this as an actual investment. And I mean, I think 10 years is, decent, because the thing is, I think the value also of the NFT will definitely go up, because it's like, just imagine what happens when a lot of hardcore fans owns a piece of their favorite song. They will become ambassadors, right? They will pump the song just like people pump crypto. So it's a good synergy there, I think.
So it's likely there'd be so it's likely for a cash flow yield of around 7 to 8% if that's a 10-year return. Yes. But you're also getting capital gains on top of that of your NFT.
So on the platform, on another block, is there are you anticipating the ability to also have secondary transactions of the NFTs on that platform? Can I go and buy someone who's awesome? That's pretty cool. So you can also get the capital gains from that of finding a small artist, knowing their niche, having an inclination that they're going to be bigger, and then selling it for a higher price.
And is there a royalty as well on that? Sorry, is there a is the artist making something from each sale?
Oh yeah.
We're as likely it will be like that, but it's like I think that those royalties for selling the NFT might go to the artist. I'm not really sure, to be honest. It's like we're discussing it, so I don't think it will go to the original holder, but I'm not sure. So we'll see about that. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so when we were talking about striking deals with labels and being on their turf and stuff like that, I guess it makes a lot of sense to have people around the project who are in the industry. So it makes a lot of sense to have Steve Angelo from Swedish House Mafia on board as an investor. Obviously, that's a strategic move and it's a smart move. But I also wanted to backtrack a second there. It looks like I think the CTO is a guy named Sebastian, and he was originally working at NASDAQ as like one of the blockchain experts. Is that right? Like, that's a pretty awesome hire.
Yeah, definitely. He's really great, actually. Actually, they call me the most knowledgeable guy in crypto on the pitch deck. I would argue that there are others as well, so I mean, besides from also being the head of community, I'm also, I mean, I was among the first in Sweden with Bitcoin, like around 2014. We actually started the Bitcoin party. So it was like, an actual political party promoting Bitcoin.
Really?
That's great.
No way.
That's great.
That's so cool.
I can admit, though, that was more of a gimmick because it's like we wanted to get legitimacy. So that was a way to go about it, because there's a political festival in Sweden every year during the summer. And then if people go out to a big island where it's, super nice, everybody drink rosé wine, and it's like only politicians. And we went around with a flag saying like, the Bitcoin party, Bitcoin is here to stay, guys. And everybody like, what the fuck? What is this? They thought that we were like cyber criminals or something. That was the notion back then.
True. Yeah, well, in 2014, Bitcoin was only used for black market heroin sales, so it kind of made sense. But it's so much, but it's so far advanced now. Like so many more people have adopted it. So yeah, that's great.
Okay, interesting. So I mentioned Steve Angelo. Question as we finish, because that was the bell behind us. If you didn't notice, we're sitting behind the city hall right here. So Steve Angelo, I even got it right. So they recently announced, when I say they, Swedish House Mafia recently announced on the 11th of February that they're going to release a new album called Paradise Again. And so naturally I was like, "Ooh, I'm putting the blocks together," and I was like, Is the intention, and maybe you don't know, but is the intention for Steve Angelo and the Swedish House Mafia to use this platform to like launch the new album that happens to be coming out just after he's an investor in another block?
Yeah, if Steve, no, you asked about Swedish House Mafia and their upcoming album. Yes. Yeah, so I mean, the gossip goes at the office. It's really fun because it's like we're talking to Steve, and it's like, Steve is over now in LA. Steve is here. Steve's there. And it's like you always hear about the conversation, how it goes with the other members of Swedish House Mafia. And the thing is, like, I can't really disclose whether we will release Swedish House Mafia or not, but let's say it's something that is under discussion right now. So it's like, you'll see. But I mean, we will have definitely have Steve's drops where Steve is involved and is a co-owner, definitely, and we'll see. Might be some Swedish House Mafia as well. We'll see.
There you go. Amazing.
That's very cool. I have one more question if you have time. So I actually wanted to talk about, so you mentioned before you were putting together a pitch deck, you were putting together something for the investors.
Great question.
Could you talk about, are you meeting with VCs?
Are you meeting with,
or are you meeting with more crypto people that are like bullish on crypto? What are you?
Actually, which is like something that is really interesting for me is like, since I come from the crypto space, Michel is more like the CEO. He's more from the corporate space, I would say. So he's been with Schibsted, which is like a huge Scandinavian media, media corporation. So it's like, it's really, really huge. And I mean, he's so well connected when it comes to these kind of VCs that invest in startups. Yeah. But they have mainly been, VCs that aren't like usually investing in crypto and the blockchain space, because it's like they have been waiting, like maybe outside and like maybe we should get in, it's like they're hesitant, but they're actually now getting more and more interested. And I think that shows signs also of crypto becoming more of an investable market in general, which is really interesting to see. I mean, I remember when El Salvador adopted Bitcoin as a legal tender, it's like, that stuff of our dreams. It's like I remember back in 2014 that would be, if somebody would have said like, oh, in 2021 El Salvador will use Bitcoin as a legal tender, I would be, are you nuts? Then I would be the one saying, are you nuts, man? You've taken too much Bitcoin pills, man. But anyways, so right now I think that we're starting more and more to approach the crypto VCs. So I guess that's for our A round, that I'm a little bit more knowledgeable when it comes to them. So I'm sending over a few, like there's like ARK Invest, and so we have like ongoing discussions with VCs. And I mean, if somebody sees this and are interested in investing, I mean, now is the time, I would say, because I guess this would probably be the last investment round that we do before then eventually getting to become a DAO. So we'll see.
Yeah. Better get in if you're an angel then.
True. Yeah. If you're, I think maybe you might have mentioned that you were looking to maybe raise like a Series A round, talking to investors, doing a pitch deck. Do you have any idea where the capital would flow? Like what does Another Block need to invest in at the moment to get it up and running?
So it depends on, I mean, we could do it. I mean, I would say that our current team, we are capable of doing whatever we need to do. It's more that, if we were to get in more money, we would be able to accelerate even more. Yeah. And sometimes that is really important as well, because as you know, like the crypto space is really volatile in general. Maybe if the sentiment changes on NFTs and people are like, oh, NFTs, that was such a fad, even though it won't affect 100% of the NFTs, it might still be, a bit harder with the credibility, because, and that's why we're also focusing on trying to make NFTs something that actually can have more tangible value than just images and, Discord channels here and there. It's like, we want to do something that is a bit more future-proofed. So even if the rest of the markets kind of, shuts down or slows down or loses value, we want to have something other than that. So, NFTs is just a way for us to achieve what we want to do, rather than something that is like, a buzzword thing that we put in because it sounds cool and it will be people interested in investing in it. It's more of like, okay, so this is the best solution for our problem. It's more that way for our company. Yeah.
Crazy. All right. Let's wrap it here because we don't want to take too much more of your time. So in regards to the future, so when's the release date, hopefully range of time that you think something might happen on the website? And then how can people find more about it? What platforms, where can they go to find out a bit more?
Yeah, things will definitely happen on the website in 1 or 2 weeks, but I think the launch will probably be in 2 or 3 months or something like that. We have no set date. We're working on the official roadmap right now that will be released, but I mean before the summer, it seems, at least. So.
Okay, and then how can people find out more? What social channels are you guys on?
I would say anotherblock.io and sign up there to get notified when things will open up, and join our Discord. I mean, it would be awesome to see you there. I'm pretty active myself.
True, we saw you. What's the songs that you like listening to?
So I was on the Discord last night playing Beyonce on the music channel. And I noticed possibly yourself adding, there's a certain jazz song that you might have added a couple of times. But
it's a good vibe. Yeah. It's a good community in there. So join it. It's grassroots.
I mean, I'm such a music nerd. I'm a DJ myself since many years. So it's like we have an actual DJ set at the office. So tonight there will be a party, And I'm so sad because last week I DJ'd there. Maybe that's when I got corona. I don't know. But it's I want to be there, DJ, because there's lots of people coming over, and I'm missing out because so sad. So that's why I'm sitting, because Spicy Berries, our moderator, she's great, from Amsterdam and all, and it's she made this music channel, and I absolutely love it. I'm the one always playing the music down there, and it's so nice. But I don't think I played Beyonce. I like Beyonce, but I'm more of a house guy, right?
No, that was me playing Beyonce,
he was
and
playing
you were
Beyonce.
Giving me tips.
Okay.
So that was 2 nights ago, I think. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Andreas, this has been so good. You're actually so awesome to chat to. You're so good at your job, and so we're actually so excited to see where this project goes. This conversation has just made me, and I can speak for Isaac, just so much more excited to see what the future holds for Another Block. And so I've subscribed to the newsletter, whatever it is, the email notifications, so I'm hoping to see what's happening. I'm going to jump on there as soon as I can. And I don't know. Any final words that everyone should know? I don't know.
Music for the people, by the people, I don't know.
He's writing a new constitution.
Question.
We need to come up with a better slogan. Like, we're working on it.
If I come to Stockholm, what's the hidden secrets of Stockholm that we should check out that people don't know about?
Man, there's so much nice. I mean, especially the underground scene is really cool. It's like clubs need to close even before Corona. You know, clubs need to close around 3 in general. There are some exceptions to that, but that's so retarded. So everybody just hosts illegal raves instead.
Oh, so Swedish. So nice.
Yeah, and especially, you know, during the summer, it's so nice because we have so many open airs. Sometimes there's like 3 or 4 open airs, even though we're a small city. It's like you can go to like one open air and then hit another one. It's like super nice. And the sun is up almost all night as well here in the Nordics. So imagine being at a really cool house party in a lush forest, and the sun is, you know, going up in like 3 or 4 in the morning.
We have a version of that in Australia. It's called a bush doof. You can Google that later.
Bogans, yes.
Who knows?
Yeah, I know.
I don't partake in it. I'm just aware of it.
He goes every weekend. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Andreas, this has been so awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no worries. We'll stay in contact, and good luck also with the channel. Nice. I like your style of doing videos, interviews, and lots of interesting information. Yeah.
Thank you so much.